Alrighty, so this is your first Blender tutorial. Once you've signed into your computer, what I want you to do is to open up the Blender application. All you need to do that is to hit the Windows button and type in the word Blender. Cool. Once you're into Blender, you just want to select the language as, you can leave all this as is. Once you are here, you're going to click General. And now we are in the Blender workspace. So a few little things before we start. If you press and hold the mouse button, that is how you can rotate around an object. You can also use this little XYZ icons up the top to fix your view to a certain axis. Once we're in Blender, we are going to hit X and we are going to delete the cube. The other thing we are going to delete is the camera. So you can select it on the right here, or you can find it and click it, and then you're just going to press X again to delete the camera. So all I want in this scene is a light source. We're going to press Shift A, and that will allow us to add an object. We are going to add text. If you press Tab, you will now be able to edit that text. And what we're going to do for the purpose of this tutorial is we are just going to type out our initials. You can do them as caps, you can do them as lowercase, and you can also add a dot between if you wish. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to do mine like so. Once you have that text drawn, you're going to highlight it and you're going to come down to data over on the right here, this little A. And you're going to center align it by opening up the paragraph panel. Center align the horizontal, and for the vertical, you are going to select middle. The next thing you're going to do is open up the font, and if you click this little folder here, you will see the Blender default fonts installed. Now you're just going to pick one of these that you want to use for your tutorial. I'm going to use the Bauhaus 93. Following this, we are going to open up the geometry panel, which is just over here on the right, and we are going to set our extrude to 0.2. And now you'll see that you have a little 3D text in Blender. We're going to press Tab, and that will get us out of edit mode. And we are going to use the scale tool over on the left here to resize this image. Sorry, not this image, but this asset. So have a little play around now, just resizing it and get it how you want it. You can also press the key S and then you can scale it like I'm doing here to have a universal scaling. Cool. Once you have your text at a size that you like, we're going to jump onto Google Chrome. And we're going to go on a website called Polyhaven. Now what Polyhaven is it's an open source library for textures and what are called HDRIs. And we are going to use a HDRI today. So I want you to come to Polyhaven and you are going to come down to where it says HDRIs. And then you are going to find one which has not too much going on. So this dusk here would work, this one here would work, but maybe this one here with the bridges wouldn't work so well. So that's what I mean by you don't want too much going on. I'm going to go with this Quanti Moon Clear Sky. Once you found one you like, you're just going to download that EXR file and leave it in your downloads folder. Cool, we're going to jump back into Blender and we're going to increase this little timeline thing at the bottom just by hovering over and left clicking and dragging. And we're going to change the editor to shader editor. Cool, and then we are going to come over to where it says object and we are going to change that to world. Now just like before, we are going to add, these are called nodes. We're going to add some different nodes to this environment or to this Blender workspace to create a little textured effect on our text that we have here. So to add a node, just like before, you press Shift A and then you can just type in the ones that you are looking for. So the first thing we're going to type in after pressing Shift A is environment texture. And then we're just going to left click to drop that in place. We're going to also add mapping. And we're also going to add texture coordinate. And you want to lay them out like this. The next thing we're going to do is connect these nodes. So you're going to left click generated and you're going to drag that to vector. You're going to drag vector to vector, color to color. And then you're going to come to this little open folder here and you're going to open that HDRI. So for most of you, it should have saved to your downloads like you can see here. You're just going to left select that and then click open image. Now, if you change your view, so if you press Z and then go rendered, you will see, if you press Z and go rendered, you will see that that HDRI is now added into your Blender workspace. Cool, we're going to add a few more nodes to this. We are going to add mix shader. We're going to leave it, we're going to click between the background and the world output, and that will put it between. And then we're also going to add a light path just here. And then you want to connect in camera ray to factor. And that will create a transparency like you can see here. Cool. You can also play around with the rotation of the HDRI. So you can see as I move the X there, it will increase or decrease the shadows, and it will also change the angle of the shadows. So you can have a little play around with the various rotations under mapping to get the shadows how you want them for your own text logo. Once you are happy with your shadows, we are going to switch from world to object. And we're going to do the same thing. Now you might have accidentally already added a texture. So if you have a texture here, I just want you to click the X. And now we are going to click create new. First thing we're going to do is we are going to increase the metallic to 1. And now we are going to add some nodes. So these are all going to go to the left of this principled BSDF. We're going to press Shift A and we're going to add a color ramp. Next to the color ramp, we are going to add a noise texture. Next to the noise texture, we are going to add mapping. And next to mapping, we are going to add texture coordinate again. We're now going to join some of these nodes together. So starting from the left, we are going to go generated to vector. We're going to go vector to vector. We're going to go factor to factor. And then we're going to go color into roughness. And you should see the texture of that HDRI being applied to your letters. Cool, we're just going to adjust a few more things before we wrap up this tutorial. So under your mapping node, I want you to change your rotation. I want you to change the Y to 90. And I also want you to change the Z to 90. For your noise texture, I want you to increase the scale to something between, let's say 20 and 40. So you can just use the slider and get it how you want it. I'm going to go with, I think I like 30. For your detail, you're going to do the same thing. Let's just go with 15. And for your roughness, you're going to make it 0.8. Cool. The last thing you can play around with is the color ramp. So if you increase the darks, that will obviously make the image darker. And you'll see the light is mainly affecting the right-hand side of that B. If you decrease the white side, increase the white side, you will make your image brighter. So all I want you to do now is have a little play around with these two positions and get your logo somewhere where you like it. Cool, so I am generally pretty happy with how this is looking. So now I'm going to show you how we go about rendering it, which is essentially exporting the image. So the first thing you're going to do is add a camera. So you're going to press Shift A like before. You're going to select that camera and you're going to use the Move tool to move it above your text. Once you have it somewhere like mine, I want you to come over to the right here where it says Object, and I want you to make your X rotation 20, make your Y and your Z 0. Now if you click Render and then go Render Image, you will see how that logo is looking. So I would say in the current context of my screen, this is appearing a little bit too close. So all you need to do is move the camera further away, or alternatively, you can change the focal length of the camera. So mine's set to 50. If you click on the green camera icon over on the right here, if you make this number lower, it will widen the lens of that camera. So if you look at it now, that's looking much better. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it forward a little bit and I'm just going to rotate it down a little bit more. And now I'm generally happy with how this is looking. So once you have your camera in a position and when you click Render Image, once this is in a position that you like it, I'm going to show you how to export it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to come over to the right here and you want to click your render properties and you want to change your engine from EV to Cycles. Cool. Once you've done that, you want to change your device to GPU compute. Following, you're going to go to output. You're going to leave your resolution and aspect ratio as is. You're going to change where it says frame rate 250 and you're just going to make that 1. So it says frame start 1, end 1 and step 1. And then for your output, you're going to select this little folder here. And I want you to just select your desktop and that will save it to the desktop. Cool. Give it a name. So I'm just going to call it Blender Text 01. Make sure you have RGBA selected. You're then going to go Render and you're going to go Render Animation. Now it might take about 30 seconds to do this. Cool, so once that's exported, I did mine to my downloads folder. You're going to want to open that up and you'll see that you have the text there. Cool. Thanks for watching this tutorial and I hope that it wasn't too difficult for us.